to, we cannot chant constantly, we won't be able to read, we won't be able to listen continuously. So we need to find different ways that we can engage this that you want to relax. Hear those wonderful songs. So nice. So we will be reading from Simanaha Siksa. We have finished the commentary on verse number 5 by our Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Till now, we will be dwelling the commentary by our present Acharyas. So verse 5, I will repeat the translation to bring what these instructions Raghunath Das Goswami is giving. Manaha Siksa, splendid instructions to the mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. Verse number 5. While here on the revealed path of devotion, I have been attacked by the hideous gang of lust, etc., who have bound my neck with the troublesome, dreadful ropes of wicked deeds. I am being killed. Cry out piteously like this to the devotees of Sri Krishna, the destroyer of Baka. O mind, they will save you from these enemies. The one thing is working very nice, that if we have any other thought come which is not good, just chant Radhe Radhe. Radharani will not give these thoughts, because thoughts we will contemplate, and there is a chance that we may make mistakes. So we have to be extremely careful wherever our mind goes. Just stop that mind by chanting Radhe Radhe. So commentary we will be reading by Shivaram Swami Maharaj. This is a very important verse, because in verse 4, gross obstacle were explained, and I think now everybody has remembered. But now more subtle obstacles are being described. And as we will read up to the text 8, all these things, impurities that we cannot see sitting within our heart, Acharya will help us to bring to the surface. So at least we can be aware that these things can happen and make some plans how we are going to tackle those problems in our life. Our Acharyas are so kind. Asat chesta kasta prada vikata pashal bher iha prakamam kamadi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Sanatana Goswami, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Shadya Kabunai Shravanadi Suddha Chite Karere Uday. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. Madhya Lila 22:107. Shravanadi means beginning with hearing. Particularly when we chant the holy name, we have to hear with rapt attention each syllable, because that transcendental sound vibration, when we hear it properly, it will go in the inner core of our heart and it will dance. Our anarthas are purified through hearing and chanting. No matter how grave offense we have made, it can be nullified by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Everything in bhakti begins with hearing and chanting. The same with kamadi, which means beginning with lust, kam. The word Kamadi means the problem doesn't end just with calm, or calm is not the one or principal obstacle, but there are others. So what are these next obstacle or anarthas toward our advancement in Krishna consciousness? Kamadi begins with calm, and the other things headed by calm is leading the charge. Kama means lust, and what follow lust is anger, greed, illusion, arrogance, and envy. These are the six main enemies or anarthas which are represented by this word Kamadi, Kam and Adi, Kamadi. So they are Vyati Kare, likened to highwaymen or thugs. The example is very nice because even a materialistic can appreciate it. We are on our path back home, back to Godhead. Then these are highwaymen who are there to stop you, obstacles on our path. They want to steal your wealth. We have already discussed that this wealth is our devotional treasure. Whatever little is there, we want to protect it. But there are these anarthas present who are actually trying to steal our wealth. Wonderful instructions early in the morning to hear and dwell during the day and practice in our life. Hare Krishna. So we will be reading now from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We have embarked on volume number 3, the first chapter, or let me see, I don't want to say something which is not right. Yes, chapter 1. There you go. Our mind is so dull, we don't remember anything, particularly mine. I have to read so many times, then and then the things will go in my brain. So we will continue reading, but before that, let's read one paragraph to bring up to the speed, and then we will continue. At the baggage claim, Srila Prabhupada waited for a moment, his eyes taking in everyone around him. That's the beauty of this. Who is representing this? The prominent example came in my mind is His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, Giriraj Maharaj. When he wants to leave the association of the devotees, he will come and shake hand, hug, or to have a sweet glance on each of the devotees before they leave. That's their greatness. We should live around those people. Lifting his open palm, he beckoned everyone to chant louder, and the group burst into renewed chanting, with Prabhupada standing in their midst, softly clapping his hands and singing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Gracefully, he then raised his arms above his head and began to dance, stepping and swaying from side to side. So now we will continue. In the mixed chagrin, amusement, and irresistible joy of the airport workers and passengers, the reception party stayed with Prabhupada until he got his luggage. Then they escorted him outside into the sunlight and into waiting car, a black 1949 Cadillac Fleetwood. Hare Krishna. All this Maharaj has the special. I remember that we drove, and I was also the TP when my Guru Maharaj used to visit for a decade, and he liked the Ford Lincoln car. And he said, this car is beautiful. Why? Because it's so wide, lots of room for Lincoln. I think they have stopped making, because when I see on the road, I always remember that Srila Gurudev liked this car. And my son says that, but with Osuri, they don't make any more. Haribo. Prabhupada got into the back seat with Mukunda and Allen Ginsberg. How much detail Satsvarup Maharaj has provided. Amazing. Then they escorted him outside. Okay, Prabhupada got into the car and backseat with Mukunda and Allen Ginsberg. Until the moment the car pulled away from the curb, Srila Prabhupada, still smiling, continued handing flowers to all those who had come to welcome him as he brought Krishna consciousness west. The Cadillac belonged to Harvey Cohen, who almost a year before had allowed Prabhupada to stay in his Bowery loft. Harvey was driving, but because of his chauffeur's hat picked up at a Salvation Army store, and his black suit and his beard, Prabhupada didn't recognize him. Where is Harvey? Prabhupada asked. He's driving, Mukunda said. Oh, is that you? I didn't recognize you. Harvey smiled. Welcome to San Francisco, Swamiji. Srila Prabhupada was happy to be in another big western city on behalf of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and Lord Chaitanya. The further west one goes, Lord Chaitanya had said, the more materialistic the people. Haribo. Don't live in California. Haribo. Yet Lord Chaitanya had also said that Krishna consciousness should spread all over the world. Prabhupada, Godbrother, had often wondered about Lord Chaitanya's statement that one day the name of Krishna would be sung in every town and village. Perhaps that verse should be taken symbolically. They said, otherwise, what could it mean? Krishna in every town? But Srila Prabhupada had deep faith in that statement by Lord Chaitanya and in the instruction of his spiritual master. Here he was in the far western city of San Francisco, and already people were chanting. They had enthusiastically received him with flowers and kirtan. And all over the world, there were other cities much like this one. The temple Mukunda and his friend has obtained was on Frederick Street in the Heights, Asbury district. Like the temple at 26th Avenue in New York, it was a small storefront with display window facing the street. A sign over the window read, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Temple. Mukunda and his friend had also rented a 3-room apartment for Swamiji on the 3rd floor of the adjoining building. It was a small, bare, rundown apartment facing the street. Followed by several carloads of devotees and curious seekers, Srila Prabhupada arrived at 518 Frederick Street and entered the storefront, which was decorated only by a few madras cloths on the wall. Taking his seat on a cushion, he led a kirtan and then spoke, inviting everyone to take up Krishna consciousness. After this lecture, he left the storefront and walked next door and up the 2 flights of the stair to his apartment. As he entered his apartment, number 32, he was followed not only by his devotees and admirers, but also by reporters from San Francisco main newspaper, the Chronicle and the Examiner. While some devotees cooked his lunch and Ranchod unpacked his suitcase, Swamiji talked with the reporters who sat on the floor taking notes on their pads. Here is the reporter is saying, quote, downstairs you said you were inviting everyone to Krishna consciousness. Does that include the Heights Asbury, Bohemians, and beatniks? Unquote, Prabhupada. Yes, everyone, including you or anybody else, be he or she what is called an acid head or a hippie or something else. But once he is accepted for training, he becomes something else from what he had been before, unquote. The reporter asked next questions. What does one have to do to become a member of your movement? Prabhupada, there are 4 prerequisites. I do not allow my students to keep girlfriends. I prohibit all kind of intoxications, including coffee, tea, and cigarettes. I prohibit meat eating, and I prohibit my students from taking part in gambling, unquote. So reporter is asking third question. Do these cell, not commandments, extend to the use of LSD, marijuana, and other narcotics? Prabhupada, I consider LSD to be an intoxicant. I do not allow any one of my students to use that or any intoxicant. I train my student to rise early in the morning, to take a bath early in the day, and to attend prayer meetings 3 times a day. Our sect is one of austerity. It is the science of God. Austerity must be performed to please Krishna. Although Prabhupada had found the reporters generally did not report his philosophy, he took the opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. Even if the reporter didn't want to dwell into the philosophy, his followers did. The big mistake of the modern civilization, Srila Prabhupada continued, is to encroach upon others' property as though it were one's own. These create an unnatural disturbance. God is the ultimate proprietor of everything in the universe. When people know that God is the ultimate proprietor, the best friend of all living entities, an object of all offering and sacrifice, then there will be a peace, unquote. The reporter asked him about his background, and he told briefly about his coming from India and beginning in New York. After the reporters left, Prabhupada continued speaking to the young people in his room. Mukunda, who had allowed his hair and beard to grow, but who wore around his neck the strand of large red beads, Swamiji has given him at initiation, introduced some of his friends and explained that they were all living together and they wanted to help Swamiji present Krishna consciousness to the young people of San Francisco. Mukunda's wife Janki asked Swamiji about his plane ride. He said it had been pleasant except for some pressure in his ears. The houses looked like matchboxes, he said. And with his thumb and forefinger, he indicated the size of the matchbox. He leaned back against the wall and took up the garland he had received that day, until only a beaded necklace, a common, inexpensive item with a small bell on it, remained hanging around his neck. Prabhupada held it, inspected the workmanship, and toyed with it. This is special, he said, looking up. Why? Because it was made with devotion. He continued to pay attention to the necklace as if receiving it had been one of the most important events of the day. When his lunch arrived, he distributed some to everyone. And then Ranchor efficiently, though tactfully, asked everyone to leave and give the Swami a little time to eat and rest. This reminds me about our pastime of the Brahmana's Patni, that actually the Patnis were amazed to see that he was feeding all his cowherd boyfriends and whoever was present, but Krishna was not eating himself. And our Acharya gave actually the reason that there was a one wife of the Brahman that she didn't join because the husband forcefully captured her not to join with other Brahmins' Patnis to feed Krishna. Now that Patni of the Brahman was so anxious because she had heard about Krishna continuously for prolonged time. So her attraction within her heart was so intense. But what can she do when forcefully someone, family member, stopped her? So it says, our Acharya says that Krishna was not eating because he was feeling the pain of that one Brahman Patni, that she was unable to come and see him. Krishna personally, our Acharya says, Krishna personally went with his potency, leaving all these other Patnis and cowherd boys to go and meet with that Patni. And it says that in feeling of separation, actually she was going to leave this world. Just before she left this world, Krishna came and fed her the food and satisfied her desire, that she can see very closely the beauty of Krishna. And after seeing the beauty of Krishna, she smiling left this world. That is one reason our Acharya has given. The other reason was also that he was relishing the feelings of these Brahmin Patnis so much so that he cannot even think how to reciprocate with the wife of the Brahmanas. So Samacharya says that he was so much absorbed how to reciprocate that intense desire that they left the home thinking they will never be go back because their husband may not or the family member may not accept them. So for that reason also he was contemplating so much deeply that he forgot even to put the morsel of food in his mouth. But actually the Brahman Patni didn't let him go. They paid him nicely. So much so. So this is wonderful when we read like this that Prabhupada was giving everyone food. That thought came in my mind. Outside the apartment and in the storefront below, the talk was of Swamiji. No one had disappointed. Everything Mukunda had been telling them about him was true. They particularly enjoyed how he had talked about seeing everything from Krishna's viewpoint. When we associate with those great personalities, one thing we can learn that how detailed they perform their anything they do, they go in much, much more detail. This is the sign of advancement. That night on television, Swamiji's arrival was covered on the 11 o'clock news, and the next day it appeared in the newspapers. The Examiner's story was on page 2. Swami invites the hippies, along with a photo of the temple filled with followers and some sort of Swamiji who looked very grave. Prabhupada had Mukunda read the article aloud. Quote, the lanky master of the faith, Mukunda read, attired in a flowing ankle-long robe and sitting cross-legged on a big mattress. Swamiji interrupted. What is this word lanky? Mukunda explained that it meant tall and slender. I don't know why they said that, he added. Maybe it's because you sit so straight and tall, so they think that you are very tall. The article went on to describe many of the airport greeters as being of the long hair, bearded and standal asset. San Francisco largest paper, the Chronicle, also ran an article. Swami in Hippie Land. Holy man opens San Francisco temple. The article began as follows. A holy man from India, described by his friend and beat poet Allen Ginsberg as one of the more conservative leaders of his faith, launched a kind of evangelistic effort yesterday in the heart of San Francisco's hippies' heaven. Srila Prabhupada objected to being called conservative. He was indignant. Conservative? How is that? In respect to sex and drugs, Mukunda suggested. Of course, we are conservative in that sense, Prabhupada said. That simply means we are following Shastra. We cannot depart from Bhagavad Gita, but conservative, we are not. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so strict that he would not even look on the woman. But we are accepting everyone into this movement, regardless of sex, caste, positions, or whatever. Everyone is invited to come chant Hare Krishna. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's munificence, his liberality. No, we are not conservative. Srila Prabhupada rose from bed and turned on the light. It was 1 a.m. Although the alarm had not sounded and no one had come to wake him. He had risen on his own, 1 o'clock in the morning, Haribo. The apartment was cold and quiet, wrapping his chadar around his shoulder. He sat quietly at his makeshift desk, parenthesis, a trunk filled with manuscript, parenthesis over. That was his Japa desk. And in deep concentration, chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on his beats. We should be so attentive. If we cannot focus, we should not pick up the Japa beats. Then we should chant without the beats. But I have seen so many devotees wander around, having their hand in the beat, touching the beat, and talking something which has no relations to Krishna. Very offensive. Extremely offensive. And you can witness it when you visit any ISKCON Sunday feast program. My Guru Maharaj used to tell that if everyone becomes sincere, we can take over this world in 18 days like battlefield of Kurukshetra. But we are not sincere. That's our problem. Our faith is weak. We don't have the faith, even though we put tilak and take initiation. Look at the example of the wife of the Brahmanas. They left everyone. We cannot give some hours to Krishna just in a solitary place. How we will be able to establish our relationship? So let's continue. After an hour of chanting, Srila Prabhupada turned to his writing. Although 2 years had passed since he had published a book, the third and the final volume of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he had daily been working sometime on his translation and commentary of the second canto, but mostly on Bhagavad Gita. In the 1940s in India, he had written an entire Bhagavad Gita translation and commentary, but his only copy had mysteriously disappeared. Then in 1965, after a few months in America, he had begun again, starting with the introductions, which he had composed in his room on 72nd Street in New York. Now thousands of manuscript pages fill his trunk, completing his Bhagavad Gita. If his New York disciple Hayagriva, formerly an English professor, could edit it, and if some of the other disciples could get it published, that would be an important achievement. So I think we have come, we should be punctual in our practices. Time the devotees need to perform other activities before they leave. I'd like to offer my humble obeisances at the dust of their feet for their kindness to give their most important time of the day, giving us a support so we become fixed. Our devotion should be so fixed like a lamp in the windless room, never shake. Or our greed should be such that the birds, that they have no ability to fly on their own, completely dependent on the mother to get the food or to carry. Similarly, we may have that dependency arose in our heart, that without Krishna in our life, without surrendering to Him, we are wasting this life. We have been given opportunity to cross over this nations once and for all. But just see how many hours out of 24 we are putting for that main goal of our life. It will show us very easily where our prime goal of our life is. So many great personality with the faith, they were able to dedicate their life. And Krishna always helped those devotees who are sincere to have that they can have 24 hours for Krishna, nothing else. Krishna is very kind. So I think we should